All right, we had the best women's college basketball game last night of the 23-24 season, which was Oregon State versus UCLA. I want to break down the game, the implications for the Pac-12 title, talk a bit about where UCLA is going and the mistakes they made down the stretch. As well, a warning, I will be talking about Regan Beers' injury and giving sort of a timeline on what I think her time to return might be. By all means, skip over that part if you don't like me speculating on injuries. But before we start, you know the gig. If you like the content and the channel, please subscribe and give the video a like. All right, let's get into this. Like I said at the outset, this was the game of the year, and it was not the Super Bowl. It was not an ugly game that got good because it got exciting at the end. No, this was great from the outset. So it's not just that there were 5 lead changes in under 15 seconds left in the game. No, this game was like a Rocky movie. They went back and forth in the first quarter, and then in the start of the second quarter, Regan Beers took a nasty inadvertent elbow from Kiki Rice when she was trying to make a layup. And it was ugly as she obviously took one to the cheek and was in a lot of pain. You could hear her sort of screaming while on the ground or moaning, very uncomfortable. But unfortunately, there was nothing that could be done about it. So they took their free throws and the game went on. And straight away, it felt like UCLA was attacking Oregon State inside. Kelsey Rees got her 3rd foul in the second quarter, and I was like, oh man, this game is over. But it was not. Somehow, some way, Oregon State stayed in the game, just fought and struggled. In the postgame, Scott Rueck was like, we were using lineups we hadn't used before. It was almost like a practice in a lot of ways. And then just everybody basically stepped up for Oregon State, which included Tamia Gardner, who played big against Betts, and as well Perova, who also played center. But even with all that, this game seemed done like dinner as UCLA went up on a 3-pointer by Dugalich they went up by 7 at the 3-minute mark. And Corey Close called out her team on this in the postgame, just saying, we did not play the last 3 minutes well on defense, and she's right. They gave up a corner 3 and as well another 3 baskets at the basket. So 2 layups and 1 foul at the basket. The game winner by von Oelhoffen at the end was amazing, no doubt, but UCLA messed that up big time. As with 1 second left, they could have switched everybody, and it seemed like they just messed up who was switching where. So it was just a communication issue. But Lauren Betts could have gone out on von Oelhoffen because she couldn't have been taken off the dribble and contested that shot. But Betts and Kiki Rice had a moment of confusion, just probably half a second of who was taking Gardner in the corner, and that allowed von Oelhoffen to pop out and hit the 3-pointer, which was an amazing shot. I mean, that's a $1 million shot, no doubt. Von Oelhoffen was teary after the game in the interview, sending out her best to Regan Beers, saying they talked at halftime about getting the win for Ray.
I hope she's okay, wherever she is, and I hope Ray's watching. I love you, Ray.
Like I said, it was a Rocky movie.
Yo, Adrian! I did it!
That's what it looked like to me, and it was fantastic. But now let's take a look at where things sit. So the Pac-12 regular season title seems to have come down to a 2-tier race between Stanford, that's 12-2 in the Pac-12, and Oregon State, that is now 10-3. Colorado went down last night to Utah, so they are 10-4 as well. USC is 9-4 and Utah 9-5. So they have definitely separated. So to finish off, Stanford has Arizona and then Arizona State. And then they make their road trip first to Corvallis to play Oregon State, which should be a good game, and then Oregon. Now, Oregon State still has some work to do, so they have USC on Sunday, and then they will face off at Washington State, and then Washington. And then if they get through those unscathed, then it's Stanford at Corvallis, and then Cal. So this is setting up for a very fun finish if both these teams can win out. Now, Regan Beers, I suspect she might be out for 2 to 3 weeks, probably 3 weeks, It looked like she took an elbow to the cheek. It's actually, that bone is really, it's quite fragile bone that is easily broken. The zygomatic process, I think it is, from my old physio anatomy. In Australia, you see this injury often when players, it's called rugby league, where they don't wear helmets, and you'll get a head clash. And if you get it right on the side of that cheek or below the cheek, that bone is easily fractured. It's usually a 2 to 3 week injury. Like the NBA, I looked on a report on NBA players, how long it takes to come back from facial fractures. On average, it was about 18 days. So I think it would be likely that Beers might be back just before the start of the Pac-12 tournament that starts on the 6th of March, but to be determined, obviously, to be confirmed by their medical staff. But even if Beers is out, I don't think, well, it'll hurt, obviously, Oregon State, but it's something they can manage, as this team is very adaptable. And they were talking about this in the press conference. So Scott Rueck was talking about it, how he found he had more pieces tonight than he knew he had. With 3 minutes left and down 7, he went back to Perova, and she had the mismatch on Betts. Betts had to go out to the three-point line to guard her, and she went straight around her, and it was just a tough matchup for UCLA. And then they were just able to hold up just enough on the defensive end. The other one is Gardner, who's improved throughout the season. So Oregon State is not a team that you want to be facing probably in March, because they have so many pieces that are adaptable, and now they have confidence. Like, you could see that in the press conference, that they know and expect to win. Scott Rueck, the coach, dismissed the idea that they had peaked. He's like, we are adding layers every day and just getting better, and that's what I expect. And you can just almost feel it. They're that team this year. So last year, I think Utah had a bit of that, and Virginia Tech, where just all the parts come together and fit just right, and they have that little bit of magic that helps you come together, and you just know that you have confidence. I mean, you can't guarantee you're going to win, but you do know that you have a team that can experience adversity and adapt, and they give you a great shot to overcome anything to win any game. Now, on the other hand, UCLA, I'm also curious to see how they respond. This was a game they let get away. There's no doubt they would be kicking themselves. They did not take advantage of the Beers injury, and then up by 7 with 3 left. It is devastating. Want to see how they rebound at home versus Utah and Colorado. Those teams will be desperate for wins as well, so those should be really nice matches. And then they will finish on the road at Arizona State and Arizona. Now, I really like Corey Close. I like how she conducts herself, handles the media, and the way she speaks at press conferences. I thought the Lauren Betts one, when Betts was out, was a bit bizarre after the loss to Washington State. But otherwise, I do like Corey Close, but boy, the pressure is coming up on her, because in a lot of ways, UCLA is the perfect team. They've got size inside. They have a veteran point guard in Osborne, Kiki Rice. They've got a shooter in Jones, and the parts fit. And if they don't go to the Final Four this year, if not now, when? And that puts a lot of pressure on a team and a coach. But you never know. This could be the springboard for them getting it together. That's why we want to watch it play out. If you didn't take my advice last time, do it now. Get yourself a VPN and watch Pac-12 International. Watch these games finishing out the Pac-12 in their swan song. What a swan song it is. Am I saying that right? Anyway, thanks a lot for watching. Please like and subscribe. Hope to see you next time. Good night.